But tonight, we dine in hell!
Last video I mentioned Steven E. de Souza's prolific career as a movie writer through the 80s and 90s, but the guy did take a few shots into the world of television as well. Specifically, he was interested in taking a bite into the extremely profitable market of Saturday morning cartoons, which since the 1980s had spawned dozens of successful half-hour toy commercials. In what was probably an extremely cold and calculated move, de Souza picked Mark Schultz's independent comic series Xenozoic Tales to adapt into a cartoon. Although never a really big hit with the audience, Schultz's work did have two elements young boys love and would buy the shit out: dinosaurs and cars, making it perfect for the Saturday morning slot. Of course, that Xenozoic Tales wasn't a very sexy title for a kid's cartoon, as it didn't convey well its two main attributes. So to make sure no one would think the show was about anything else, it was christened Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. Not that any kid would know what the hell is a Cadillac, but anyway. Mark Schultz's stories took place in a post-apocalyptic Earth. In the early years of the 21st century, Mother Earth has had enough of humanity's crap, sending a massive catastrophe in the year 2020 that forces humanity into underground shelters. Some 300 years later, they re-emerge, just to find the world overrun by exotic life forms, not unlike those that roamed the Earth in prehistoric times. Also the Protoss.
You are in our lands, Jack Tenrek. Why?
Changes, Raynor. I bring tidings of doom.
Take care, Jack Tenrek.
The fate of creation hangs in the balance.
At the center of the action is Jack Tenrek, the last of the old blood mechanics, meaning he not only knows about how cars work, he also knows how nature works.
If Scharnhorst wipes out the Max, come next spring, what do you think the cutters will eat? Our cattle, that's what. Without any Max to devour those weeds, our crops will die, and the whole city will starve.
So we'll poison the octopus weeds.
And pollute our food, ourselves, and our children? The Machinato Vitae allows no shortcuts.
Yeah, I know, it's one of those series, but don't worry, because this one doesn't suck. Each episode has Jack and his friends having to navigate this new world, where humanity tries to rebuild civilization one city at a time, being careful not to commit the same mistakes as their ancestors. And they will commit the same mistakes, be sure of that. Lost technology lies around every corner, waiting to be misused by either power-hungry politicians, unethical scientists, or greedy poachers. It's up for Tenrek to stop these people from once again disrupting the natural order of the world, potentially plummeting it back into chaos. Yes, despite the absurd two-fisted premise, this is, at heart, a cartoon about conservationism. Dinosaurs may be the norm in this world, but they are treated just like any other animal, just wanting to be left alone. Whenever there's a dinosaur causing trouble around, you know it's because of some stupid human action, either unintentional or completely deliberate. This show makes a point of showing how disturbing the natural order of the world can take for unsettling consequence for humanity. If the barely touched upon backstory of the setting doesn't sell this idea for you, the plot of pretty much every single episode should do the trick. Discussing this kind of stuff is at the core of the show. More than selling toys, surprisingly enough, and it's dealt in a surprisingly mature manner. Kids shows from this era are known for being less than subtle with their subject matter and also treating their audience like morons, which does explain why Gen Xers are the way they are today. Intentionally or not, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs avoided the trappings of cartoons from this period by not being an overly preachy mess. Like, yeah, Jack likes to lecture people on how they are being dumb and messing up with nature is a really bad idea, but this is part of who he is, abrasive and difficult to make friends with. His preaching comes off as an extension of his personality, rather than, this.
Turn off your lights in your house when you don't need them. If you can carpool, do it. Better yet, if you're only going a short distance, walk or ride a bike.
This is a grounded take on a subject matter that had constantly been treated as absurdly detached from reality ever since, which only goes to show the quality of the writing, really. Any lesser show would have taken every single possible shortcut to convey its message into the head of the audience. But here the discussion seems embedded into the fabric of the universe. A universe that, despite the obvious difference, is very much like our own.
You've got to tell me, what was it like back then?
The world was filled with people. Foolish, brave, selfish, loving. All hoping for a better tomorrow. Just like you and Jack.
By inviting the audience to step into this universe, the creators hoped we would see the mistakes of reality through the lens of fiction. And they made sure it was an inviting universe. It goes beyond the silly premise and delivers a relatively fleshed out world that breaks the mold of what was the norm back in the day. Of course, a lot of the heavy lifting had already been made by the source material, but the show was packing some serious heat in its writing table, with the likes of comic book legend Marv Wolfman and Saturday morning god David Wise getting credited as writers for the cartoon. All that genealogy contributes to the show feeling like a comic book coming to life, thanks not only to the writing but also the visuals that, despite some obvious adaptations from Schultz's style, it still maintain the pulp grittiness of the comics. They even had Judge Dredd in it.
This is a savage world, Tenrek. We won't survive without law and order. You're a criminal scum who's wanted by the authorities.
Remember when cartoons tried to emulate comic books instead of anime? Who is sounding like a Gen X now? Without this story of sophisticated writing and gorgeous visuals, the show was bound to be a success, right? No, of course not. The problem lies exactly in what I said in the beginning about the show having been picked up because of the ridiculous premise. The channel didn't want some middle-brow environmentalist crap, they wanted another dumb, tubular Ninja Turtles cash-in. Combine this with the unfortunate fact the show premiered in the middle of the Winter Olympics and having a girl among the main characters, which made it a hard sell for toy manufacturers, and the result is a cartoon that, despite all its many qualities, was considered a dead weight by the TV executives who run the show. In the end, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs was cancelled after a brief season of 13 episodes, quickly fading away from the public consciousness. Nowadays, the franchise survives mostly through the Capcom-made arcade game released alongside the cartoon, the soundtrack of which you've been listening through the video because God forbid me from actually finding the music from the show on the internet. I mean, come on, how could I find the soundtrack for Valerian and Laureline but not this? Anyway, if anything, I hope I've managed to get you guys interested enough in this gem of a show to give it a chance. It's a rather unique piece of cartoon history that certainly deserves to be remembered for the daring and innovative series that it was. And you can watch all of it for free here on YouTube through Nelvana's own Retro Rerun channel. Alright, who wants more giant monsters?